Hey, I'm Jenny Bradley, owner of Triangle Smart Divorce, and today I'm going to talk to you about fees in law firms. And first of all, I want to say I get why so many people call the office and they want to know if we do flat fee divorces. It makes complete sense. You want to know what you're paying. You don't want runaway lawyer bills. You don't want to be overbilled for things. You don't want to be charged exorbitant amounts. You want to know, what is this going to cost me? And I'll say, if we were just talking about a divorce itself, just the simple piece of paper at the courthouse that says you are no longer married, that is something you'll find a lot of law firms doing on a flat fee. Why? Because it's not generally contested. Nobody's saying we didn't separate. Nobody's challenging the date of separation. Nobody's going in court saying, I don't want this. It's just a simple process. It's usually done on the paperwork. There's not even live testimony. And that is something that can be a flat fee, and it can be done for a sum certain. Just like an oil change in your car. You go in and you say, I want the oil changed. Simple, right? Oil comes out, you get a new oil filter, oil goes in, you're done. You move on. But what if the mechanic finds metal in your oil? That probably means something's going wrong with your transmission or something even worse. So in that situation, the mechanic likely isn't going to charge you a flat fee. They're going to charge you a flat fee for the parts, but they're going to charge you labor cost. And those labor costs depend upon what kind of car you have and how easy it is to get to what they need to fix. And do they have to take other parts off first? And do they have to do other things? That's why we don't charge many things here at Triangle Smart Divorce by a flat fee, because things are complicated. Things can be difficult. Other people can be difficult. At least in my car example, you're still just dealing with an inanimate object. But in family law, we're dealing with families. We're dealing with other lawyers. We're dealing with all kinds of people that have an influence in the result. Judges, mediators, the opposing party, yourself. There's a lot of moving parts, and we just don't think it's a reasonable thing to do to charge you a flat fee. If it only takes 2 hours, then you've overpaid us. And if it takes 20 hours, but you pay for the equivalent of 5, then we haven't charged a reasonable rate for the value that we've given you and the work that we've provided. So that's why we don't do flat fees. There are times and places that flat fees are appropriate. For instance, with an estate planning lawyer, you're getting a will done, you're getting a trust done, they meet with you first, they ask you what you want, they have a design meeting, and then you have the document review meeting. It's a couple of meetings, it's some paperwork, and I don't mean to make it sound so simple. I know estate planning is very complex and there's a lot of moving parts and tax aspects to it. So estate planning lawyers, don't get upset with me. But what I mean to say is it's mostly transactional work. Yes, you're dealing with human beings, but it's mostly transactional work, and flat fees make sense there because you know the scope. Same with real estate closings. The real estate closing attorney, when you bought your house or when you sold a house, knows the scope. They're going to do a title search, they're going to do some deed prep, go over documents with you, have you sign them. Their paralegal may do a lot of this too. They know the scope of the representation. Again, they know the scope and it's limited. And that's the thing with flat fees. They work in situations where they're transactional matters. They work in situations where the scope is limited, where representation is limited. Where I've seen them in family law in my experience is, okay, I'll represent you for negotiating a separation agreement and I'll go to mediation with you, but if it fails, then we're out. That's the end of the retainer. That's the end of what you paid us. We're not going to represent you any further without more money. So the scope is limited and the representation is limited. Or if you are in litigation, I've seen it phased, where you pay this much for hearing number 1, but if hearing number 1 doesn't get reached, you have to pay another fee to get the lawyer ready for it 6 months later when you have your new court date. And so you may be paying more in the long run than you pay at a place that charges by the hour because you're paying in phases. And if your case doesn't advance past a certain phase, you may have to replenish the money because they have to get ready for court again. Sometimes this is to your advantage though, because the phasing is much better than saying, pay me $100,000 for a divorce, and then your case settles in week 3, of course. So phasing is better than a ginormous lump sum flat fee, but still, it doesn't make sense in family law where things can take complicated turns, unanticipated events happen, and you never know what the other side wants or what they might do next, and you have to anticipate it. And that just doesn't make sense to do a flat fee and then tell you, oh, well, the flat fee only covered 3 negotiations and a mediation, and they are insisting on going to court, so we can't help you anymore. That doesn't seem right, that you would have to either change lawyers or come up with more money at that point when you thought you were hiring a lawyer who was going to handle it all. We think hourly billing makes the most sense in most all family law matters. And of course, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, that's how you make money, lawyers, so you're thinking that. No, I'm saying it because I think it's the most reasonable thing for both sides of the transaction. You, as the client, only pay for the work that is done. If your case settles in 10 hours in a mediation, then you're going to pay for 10 hours of representation at a mediation. If it settles in 2, then you're only going to pay for 2 hours at a mediation. Why should you pay for something you didn't get? And at Triangle Smart Divorce, we believe in transparency in billing. And what that means is, should you ever get a bill from us that says conference with opposing counsel and doesn't tell you anything else, you should contact us and let us know, because we want our billing entries to explain value to you and show case movement to you so that you know that what you're paying for is causing your case to move along. Now, sometimes, of course, cases naturally stall while we're waiting on documents. Sometimes we have to be extra assertive with the other side to get the documents we need to get a response to a settlement offer. But that's us working for you, and you'll always see that on your bill to know that we're trying to move the case along, even when the other side may be stalling. The other reason we prefer hourly billing at Triangle Smart Divorce is because there's some flexibility for you. For instance, if you are in one of those periods of time where it's just 60 days before documents are due and there's not a lot going on, you're not going to have big bills from us. You're not going to have giant retainer replenishment requests from us. Your case is going to be at a lull for a while. There'll be no billing being done and no money being requested. So with a good trial budget, you should know when you're expected to have money and when you're expected to replenish your trust account, and you shouldn't get surprise requests. If you do, contact us and talk to our billing department, because that's not how we want you to feel. We don't want you to be surprised by anything. If you're thinking about separating or getting divorced, or you're in the process of looking for a divorce lawyer, here's some questions you should ask about legal fees. First of all, find out if the law firm charges by the hour, if they're a flat fee law firm, or if it's a combination of both. And what I mean by that is, are they going to ask you to put money in a retainer, which is kind of like a prepaid check card? You put money in, they bill against it. You're asked to put more money in, they bill against it. And the unit that they're billing is their time, the lawyers, the paralegals, the legal assistants, etc. Or are they asking you to pay a flat fee? Oh, you have a complex equal distribution case and alimony claims in custody. It's a $200,000 fee. Here's how you pay it over time. And we earn this when you pay it, whether we do 10 hours of work, 100 hours of work, or 1 hour of work. You should find out how this works. You may find some places like my law firm that have a little bit of both. There are some matters, in our opinion, they're so simple, so transactional, don't have a lot of give and take on both sides, not a lot of negotiations, and don't require court appearances that we may charge flat fees for. So ask and understand it. And be sure you understand when you're going to be expected to pay money. In a flat fee law firm, they likely have a schedule so many days before a hearing date or so many days before mediation. And in our firm, it's the same. It's just called a retainer replenishment. It's so many weeks before certain events, like depositions or mediation or court dates, or even when documents are due. Basically, anytime there's a major milestone in your case, or your money has ran below a certain amount, we're going to ask you to replenish it. But you need to know that on the front end. Also ask, how will I know what this money is going for? You're going to want a law firm. I think you're going to want a law firm. I think it's smart. You're going to want a law firm that says, this is what we did for the money that you paid us. You get that from anyone else in your life, at the doctor's office, at the mechanics, if you had anybody fix your house, anywhere else, you get an invoice that says, this is what we did and this is how much it cost. You should be sure to get that too. If you were having your home remodeled, you would not hope to get a bill that says remodeled house, $20,000. You want to know, what did you do for $20,000? What exactly did you do? And what did you pay? What kind of cost did you have? Did you pay for permits, et cetera, et cetera? You should work with a law firm that has that kind of transparency in their billing as well. It's just the smart thing to do, because we know your money is precious. It's one of your resources, and it is one of your most powerful resources, and you want it spent wisely.